Today, my guest is Dr. Elizabeth Chen, Secretary of the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs. Welcome to Littleton.
Thank you so much.
You know, there are approximately 10,000 people here in Littleton, and about 2,280 something are seniors. And then we have about 1,200 that are probably 50 to 59. So we actually have a lot of seniors here.
You do.
And, you know, we all want a decent quality of life. I don't care if you're an elder or even a younger person, but it is getting harder, and especially on the elder. You know, with medicine being expensive and groceries and rent or even taxes on your home that you've owned for many, many years. And so it's like some people too have a smaller income. So, but I'm sure that your office must have challenges concerning this and taking care of things for our seniors. So why don't you tell me what you provide?
Yes, I completely understand the issues around having a fixed income in times when there are rising prices. It's very, very hard, especially in recent years. And so at the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, we do our work and we consider our population to be 1.7 million older people in Massachusetts, and these are individuals age 60 and above. And when we think about older people, we also think about caregivers.
Oh, yes.
And families. And so all these are family units, and we think about everybody together. We have a lot of services to help people age in place in the communities of their choice. And so we serve 65,000 people in their homes so that if at some point in time we will need help with housekeeping, with laundry, with cooking, with grocery shopping, bathing, dressing, transferring, our home care program can send someone to an older person's home to help. And we do this through the Minuteman Senior Services, which is your aging services access point for Littleton. And the services are quite robust. And I would say that if you know of somebody who needs help, or if you're wondering what kind of help you can get, I would suggest calling either Mass Options, which is our central phone number, which we hope we'll put on screen.
Yes.
Or you can call the Minuteman Senior Services, which is the Aging Services Access Point for Littleton.
Yeah. I guess I know about Minuteman through our lunchroom because they.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do meals. They do meals.
Yes.
Yes. Meals. And I have to tell you, I'm so proud of our meals program. We have a nutritionist. Our meals meet the minimum requirements that are recommended for older adults. We all need a lot more protein than we think we need as we get older. Our muscles can kind of get weaker, and it's protein that'll help us maintain that strength, in addition to some exercise. And so our nutrition program served 10 million meals last year.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. It's wonderful, though, to hear.
Yes.
Because, I've seen them coming and going, and always felt that it's also a good social time here with them coming to the diner.
Absolutely.
To have their lunch.
Absolutely.
Or they get also Meals on Wheels. So, well, that's good to know.
It's so important these days. So important these days in what I call post-isolation time, post-COVID isolation time.
Yes.
It's so important for people to get back out to these locations where we can be with each other so that we're not eating at home
Right,
alone all
right.
the time.
Yeah.
And the nutrition program helps everybody do that by coming together. For people who can't leave their homes, the nutrition program is a way in which we have eyes on. Our drivers are trained to spot problems, and this is a way. So while it's 10,000 meals, it's not just a meal, it's 10,000 wellness encounters, because it's 10,000 times when someone outside of your home has eyes on you and can see if you're okay. If you're not okay, that's somebody you can talk to and say, I'm not feeling so great, or I can't, and then our drivers are trained to call back to a place like Minuteman to see if we can get somebody out to make an assessment to see what you need.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
See, there's a lot that we don't know about. So
That's right.
I'm so glad that we can hear this, because, sometimes seniors are afraid, I think, to inquire, or because they don't want to sound like they're whining or anything like that, because they often feel, and this is sad, but they often feel at the bottom of the totem pole. And so it's something that they need to know about. There are people out there that
Absolutely.
are going to be there for you. And I like the sound of that, because although I'm an old senior, I enjoy seeing that they're having a good time, or healthy,
Absolutely.
and somebody's taking care of them. My mother lived with us for 25 years, so I got used to different phases
Absolutely.
up to dementia. So you kind of start taking all the other seniors as your family,
Absolutely.
and you start hoping there are things there that they can get to. And this sounds wonderful. What is the most sought after service that your office gets?
I think our most sought after service is probably the nutrition program, and it is a way to engage, and it's a way, whether it's in a group dining format or whether it's meals that we deliver to your home. Some folks don't need or want anything else, but it is a way to engage with our office and the programs we have in our office, and it's a way to it's a way for us to have eyes on you in case we think that you would benefit from having more. An individual could benefit from having more services provided. And our home care services are available to people of all incomes. We have a graduated payment scale depending on income. So if you're on Mass Health already, there's very, very little cost to you. I think it's zero in terms of cost sharing, and it's really, really helpful to know that there are people out there who are looking after you and who are helping you stay in your home, stay in the community you love, and that there really isn't any need to live. We need to bring services to you so that you can stay in place.
Right.
And
so many times, too, they don't have a family. They don't have someone that they can call and say all these things to, or help them. And so it's good that, this will be there for them as a family,
Yes.
so to speak. The Friends of the Council on Aging here used to give a luncheon every month, and we would get about 100 people. And it was so fun to watch how they hadn't seen each other in a while, and it was truly for, social time.
yes.
They got a good meal and social time. And to me, that's more important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's joyful time.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to some of your leadership in Health and Human Services earlier today. And it's so nice to hear that Littleton has transportation so that you could drive people back and forth from their homes to the opportunity to dine together here.
Medical appointments.
Medical appointments. I think that's what makes a community.
Yeah.
We support each other.
True.
And when it hurts my soul when you say that seniors feel that they're at the bottom of the totem pole. And I don't want any seniors to feel that way.
No.
To me, you're at the top of the totem pole.
Good.
We respect you. We respect the life that you have led, the contributions that you have given to society, to families, to friends, and that's why you're at the top of the totem pole.
True. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, yes.
We're climbing up there. So you're actually telling us what the executive office does, and it seems to me that there's a lot. That's a lot for you. But what are your goals as secretary?
My goals are to do everything possible so that the resources are in place for people to age in their communities of choice. And to do that so that people can age safely. We have a protective services program as well.
Good.
We get too many calls a year. We get 50,000 calls a year.
Oh.
And we triage them, we investigate them, and neglect, self-neglect, fraud, abuse are the cases that come to us in protective services. Our caseworkers do an incredible job in helping older people get into a better place and to help them not be in that situation where there's neglect or self-neglect or fraud or abuse, where they're no longer victimized.
Right, right.
And so it's very hard work,
Yeah.
and I am so grateful to the case managers and the field people who do this work every single day.
My goodness.
So important.
It is, and but the seniors in this situation need to understand, don't be afraid to go find out about
Correct.
this. You know, this is what bothers me.
Yes.
Because maybe when they were young, they were the type of person that said, I'm going to go out and do this. And then they age and think, I'll be in trouble. I won't be able to live here. They'll make me move or something. And especially if I'm talking about being abused or something. But they need to know, forget all that. Go.
That's right. That's right. And you can self-refer. There, again, I ask that you post the phone number for Mass Options. You can call. You can ask for help. You can talk. The people on the phone there are very, very, very good. They will spend the time with you on the phone to help you understand where to go and to help you get to the right place and the right people to help you solve the problems.
Well, then they've got to do it. That's it.
Yes, you've got to do it.
How
You've
many
got to do
times
it.
do we have to say this? It's like
Yes.
always. I think we have to say it all the time.
Yes,
Just
totally.
keep saying it and keep looking for those people who are afraid or
Yes,
just shy.
that's right. Or shy. And so we have elder mental health outreach teams that also go out to people's homes. If, for example, the human services folks here believe that somebody is at high risk, you also have your own outreach folks here
Right.
who are doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful work.
Yeah.
And there are opportunities to partner with elder mental health outreach teams that are interdisciplinary teams to help solve whether it's supportive issues or housing, and to kind of help solve some problems before they become critical issues.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's, this is what we want. This is why we have places like your office because we are trying to take care of people who need.
Yes.
And not just people, because there's also a lot of seniors out there that are still young, in a sense. And, you know, but they still want to know about these things too. Maybe for a loved one or for a friend, but I always say if those people are young elders and they want to be active, why don't you go to your senior center and volunteer?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's my big thing.
Absolutely. And so, you know, when you think about our life stages, right, we have children, we have other parents, we have schools that sort of form the group that are our groups. We have work or spouses' work that provide this nexus for our work. And then later in life, there isn't a whole lot. And our lives are very long now, thanks to medical inventions, thanks to that. And you know, our lives are very long, and we should plan for a 100-year life, each of us. And in that period of time, if we can, how will we find purpose if we are no longer working full time? And volunteering is a great way to find purpose. It's a great way to develop new communities, and it will give back to you.
It does.
It will. It does, and it will.
It does. I was kind of introduced to volunteering because of being an Army wife. And you know, you're going to move around a lot, so you need to make your life and meet people and see what's going on in that community. And so I started by volunteering, like at thrift shops and stuff like on the committees. And it just kept with me when we retired. And I really enjoy volunteering because you also learn new things.
Yes.
I mean, you're meeting people who have all these different traits, and you're learning about it, but you're also learning to give a little bit. Because especially if you are younger, you're probably the same age as that person, but they have a walker and you maybe don't. So what? Have them enjoy your visit or whatever you're doing. I just think, I've always thought it was just too important.
Absolutely.
And I don't intend to stop yet. Maybe when I'm in a wheelchair, I'll still volunteer. I don't know.
That's great. That's great. And we are all better for it. Absolutely.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It is.
It is fun. It's that engagement. It's that sense of purpose.
Right. Right. And it keeps you aging well.
And it keeps you aging well.
Right.
There are actually lots of academic studies that show that. Volunteering is actually a very important component of healthy aging.
Good. I'll be counting on it.
You've had it right all along, Barbara.
I have another question here that we probably already talked about, but it's like we know that research shows that people prefer to age in their own homes, of course, and their community. But as we age, the activities of daily living become more difficult, and people may need help with what you mentioned in the beginning, the grocery shopping, maybe even reminding them to take their meds, all the things that you talked about. So
Absolutely.
This sounds like you have filled, or you are filling, the things that we hope people need. So I'm really happy to hear all that, you know.
We know people need it, and we want people to reach out when they need it, not when they're in crisis and have fallen and then need it the next day. We'd like to get to know you a little bit in advance.
Yeah.
And it's really important for all of us to acknowledge that there's nothing wrong in getting help.
Right.
And that getting a little bit of help will help us stay at home in the places that we love. And it might help us leave the hospital earlier instead of going to a nursing home.
Oh, good.
It might help us, and so I would say that, getting a little help at home and not extending ourselves and not trying to change that light bulb that's way too high will help prevent a fall, which might put us in the hospital, which might, so I think throughout our lives, we should all acknowledge that there are changes.
Yeah.
Physically, cognitively, emotionally. And none of these changes are negative, because when we grow older, there are some things we do better than when we were younger.
Yeah.
We have more patience. Our judgment is better. We have gone down the wrong path, and we won't do that on again. And so, we tend not to talk about that in our society, but we should.
Yeah.
This experience is so helpful and useful. And yes, we might walk a little slower. We might not be able to climb that ladder anymore, nor should we.
Yeah. Right.
And maybe we are not able to remember things as well or learn new things as well as when we were younger. But that's okay.
Right.
We have our life experience.
But we still can teach.
Yes, we can still teach.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what about the caregiver? Do you have resources for them? Because, that for some people is really a big job. And sometimes they have to do it because they can't afford
Absolutely.
too much stuff. And I think in that sense, one of the things they need to learn is patience. But in the meantime, what can they look for?
Well, we have caregiver support programs, again through Minuteman Senior Center. And caregivers, often caregivers find themselves in a role not by accident, but in often emergency situations.
Sure.
And then they become caregivers for a long time. I would say we should all expect to be caregivers. We should all aspire to be caregivers. I was a caregiver for my mom with my sister for I don't know how many years, many years.
Yeah, like
she
me.
needed more and more and more. And there are moments of connection that you get as a caregiver that you would not otherwise get if you weren't. So as much as people say it is so hard, such a burden, I'd like to flip the table around and say that it's a privilege to be in that place, in that position of a caregiver, because you're caring for someone who is placing so much trust in you.
True.
And you're providing, the caregiver is providing this very vulnerable person dignity and providing them a way to maintain their pride. And what a gift we are giving to people. And I saw that from my mom all the time.
Good.
I could see it from her face. I could see it in her eyes.
Yeah.
And so we have caregiver support. There's no denial that we can get exhausted, and we cannot be good caregivers if we're exhausted. So we have caregiver respite. We have caregiver training to help us understand if someone has dementia, how to work with people with dementia. We have an online program called PCAST, which is meant for people who want to be home care aides. But caregivers can also take the course because it's for free. You can access it through our website. And it helps you think about the person you're caring for and what their needs are. It helps you figure out how best to transfer them, how to do grooming, how to do these things that an aide has been taught to do.
Yeah, well, this is wonderful. We used to have a program here that was called a social club, and caregivers could bring their parent or whomever they were taking care of to this and take the time to go shopping. So they were able, it was for a few, maybe, I don't know, 3 hours or so.
Perfect.
Which was, yeah, great. They could go grocery shopping, they could, you know, go to lunch with a friend or something, but we don't do it anymore, which I hope we start when we get a senior center. But it was very important. It was very important, and they had a wonderful time. They would play games, you know, do everything that they probably wanted to do.
That's right.
Had fun doing, and they were with other people in the same boat.
There you go, with peers.
Yes, yes.
So important.
Right.
With peers, did not feel lonely or isolated.
Right.
Engaged with others.
Yeah.
And
it gives your caregiver a breather.
Just a little breather to go run errands
Yeah.
at whatever pace the caregiver needed to do.
True. Well,
I hope you'll bring that back.
Yes, because I keep talking, and you've been hearing that we are going to build a senior center. So
I'm so excited.
I know.
I'm so excited for you.
You can imagine how excited we are. But I'm just hoping that this will bring more seniors here.
Yes.
And to enjoy, you know, probably exercise, everything you can think of, exercise, everything, games, and other seniors, and big luncheons, so
Yes.
that, because we used to have themes at our lunches that were great. And so I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm hoping it doesn't take years. I want to be here. But I'd like to go once in a while, I think.
Yes.
But, you know, what we have now is really sad. I hate to say it right now, but it is sad because you can't really bring in a lot of people. And this should help doing that. And even people, like I said, the elders who are young. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I went to a town where retired teachers were running the supportive day program, which is what you were talking about.
Right.
And so that is kind of a younger, older group helping an older, or people who just need more. And there's no reason why you couldn't bring in high schoolers to help as well, or younger children to be part of the activities. I think it's really important in our society for younger people to interact with older people, because we're no longer living in families of 3 generations. And so I think it's actually a loss for younger folks not to have these relationships.
Right.
And so it would, when you have this new senior center, I've seen the plans. I'm so excited for you. I want to come back and visit.
Well, you certainly can.
Yes.
And visit us too.
Yes.
But yeah, well, see, in our family, we were very close to our grandparents. And so right away you're introduced to elderly, so to speak.
Yes.
And even to this day, I'll say to my husband, oh, I have this little pain, and I know my grandma would tell me what to do for it, you know what I mean? Or what she did for it, or something like that. So, you know, sometimes, of course, we live far away from them. So, but they could just adopt a grandparent by coming to a senior center.
That's exactly it. I never really knew my grandparents. And I think it's a real loss. There are stories that I wish I had heard. They go back to, you know, the late 1800s or in China, revolution times, and there were stories that I wish I had heard.
I know.
You know, my grandfather became a painter after serving in the army, and we have some of his paintings, but I never had the opportunity to have that conversation with him.
Right, yeah.
And so, I think that as older people, we're providing, we call it wisdom, but it's that sense of history, that sense of belonging, that connection through time for our younger people as well.
Right, yeah. And you know, it's too bad we can't get to the younger people and say, if you have a grandparent, even your parents, talk to them about what went on.
Yes.
So that because today, don't you know that I even sit around going, oh, I should have asked my mother that. I should have asked my grandmother that. I didn't know that, you know, and it's fun to find it out, but I could have had it firsthand. So I think they should really take the time. I mean, just remember, just because we're old,
Right.
we're still here.
That's right.
We're still here. And
Absolutely.
don't forget, we're here.
Absolutely. But we also have to teach our younger people
Yeah.
what questions to ask, because it's not natural for them. And we will do great service if we can teach them what questions to ask. And sometimes it's easier to ask somebody who's not in your family. Ask somebody else who's not.
I loved it because my daughter was in her early 20s, and she and my mother would go out for drinks. She loved to go out with her grandmother.
How wonderful.
I didn't even go out with Mom for drinks.
That's great.
I know
What a
it,
great
and
story. What a
they
great
were so
story.
cute. They were so cute.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got to, you're right, teach them though.
Yeah, we have to teach people.
Well, anyway, I thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate it. I know that our audience
Yes.
will appreciate it. The 3 people that watch.
Oh no, there'll be many more. I'm sure you are. I'm
I love
sure you
saying
are.
that.
You're like the morning talk host. Everybody watches. Everybody watches, Barbara. Well, I thank you very much for having me and giving me the chance to talk to the people of Littleton.
Yeah. Thank your team for me because they
I
were
will.
wonderful.
I know
They
so
helped me
lucky.
arrange
so,
this.
So lucky.
And I may be back with them sometime saying, can we do something else like this?
Of course.
Yeah, I think.
Anytime.
So,
Thank you.
Again, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And thank everybody for joining us today.